Of Monday, a recent poll showed that about 50% of straight Gen Z guys are sympathetic to Hitler or wouldn't mind having a dictator run the West. Wonder what they mean exactly by dictator. Not much details there. But I quoted this tweet from Elijah Schaefer here, saying a lot of angry young men who are lost and ignored in life. I think the whole quote unquote Hitler was a good guy rhetoric and JQ Enlightenment influencers contributed to a false awakening of truth. Now we have a ton of young men who are desperately yearning basically for a masculine savior types, right? Like Donald Trump with tough guy politics and all that stuff, how he talks about how he's going to take over Greenland and Canada and rename the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. So it goes with this hyper masculine stuff with people like Nick Fuentes, Myron Gaines, that Fresh and Fit podcast, Alpha Male Strategies, Casey Zander, all these red pill dating coach, modern dating coach, type guys who use all very similar talking points with this very hyper masculine stuff, with this very left brain dominant way of thinking. And I really think this is a result of suppressing so many young men for a long time because now a lot of millennials are old. I'm the older part of Gen Z. We're getting older. I just turned 28. So we're approaching 30. Some of us are in our 30s, millennial Gen Zers. And a lot of the young men who aren't dumb adults like myself are waking up to truth. And the problem is like I always talk about with truth, is that people fall down the wrong rabbit holes of, stuff like this, the stupid Hitler was a good guy rhetoric, right? And the JQ Enlightenment and all this stuff with who's really running the world and all that. And I totally understand, believe me, why people fall down this, because it makes sense. They make it make sense, right? And there is some truth in it, but it's misleading ultimately. It's overall where it leads you is not the full truth. And listen, I'll besides even just that part, I relate with this: lost and ignored in life. I don't want to say necessarily I'm lost, but I feel lost sometimes because things are good in my life for the most part. But I see that freedom is not a thing anymore. I see that we have lost all our morals. There really is no morals. It's just really sad to witness on a daily basis. It's sad that I'm ignored all the time in life. I have some friends. I have family, of course, but it has to go beyond that sometimes. Where there's your community. There's a significant other in your life, and obviously, I made videos about dating and how hard that is right now in this day and age, and how it's just gonna get worse too, because we're moving into this digital world where people are gonna get lonelier and lonelier, and specifically for men who've been suppressed, who've realized that their masculinity too has been suppressed, and they see all the stuff with women, the modern woman, how they get all this attention, they have the pick of the litter when it comes to dating. It's easy to get angry about this stuff and how the world is. And all you can do is just educate people on the real truth, because I know that it's easy to blame, when it comes to dating, it's easy to blame women if you're a man, and as a woman, it's easy to blame the men. I understand it's easy to blame one side. And this is the thing, too, when you fall down the JQ Enlightenment, because you're blaming one particular group, when it's actually a lot of particular groups that are working together, such as the usual ones, the Jesuits, the Zionists, the Freemasons, heads of religions, stuff like that. Really, it's when you get to heads of religion, that's where the real control comes in. And there's even obviously levels above that, but we're not going to get into that right now. Point being is, because we're so disconnected from truth, we have a lot of people. I don't even want to just say young men. We're using young men here because that's what this article is saying, but people are lost in life because they don't know truth. They've been disconnected from truth. When it comes to men in particular, the problem with men, and especially young men, is a lot of them are ignored. Is they don't get attention the way women do. in life where people are, talking to them every day, asking them how they're doing, stuff like that. They just don't get attention. And and years of being ignored. A lot this draws you into depression because being alone is worse than smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. This is a fact. I mean, you try being alone and not talking to people for years on end. It's very hard to do. And listen, I'm not saying I go through that, but I can go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks without talking to anyone because I live alone here, right? Especially now in the winter where people barely go out. People don't go out as much, right? I live in a rural town here, right? Not in the middle of nowhere, but it is like a more quiet rural town. But there is about 10,000 people that live here. Telling me out of 10,000 people, I can't meet some cool people. And that's just because out of all the 10,000 people that live here, I definitely haven't even met like a quarter or half the people that live here, because everyone's just inside, no one's out. And to me, that's frustrating because it affects my life. And I speak for all young men when I say this. And I think if you're a young man and you're in a similar position, you know what I'm saying, where once you start getting older, you realize like, wow, you have very limited friends. It's not easy to get dates with women. And then it's like all you have is family, and you're lucky to even say you have family. I'm lucky enough to say that, but some people aren't fortunate enough to say they even have family, which is a very sad thing. As a result of a lot of angry young men, a lot of them have turned into radicalists, to where they have gone very far to the right, and they want to see pain inflicted because they're very angry with themselves. They're very angry with the way things are in the world. They're upset that they don't have the courage to change it. A lot of people don't. A lot of men don't have the courage to do anything, and that's a really big problem as well. Is a lot of these men are angry, but they have no courage to do anything. And in fact, I don't even think they know what to do because they don't know the truth. They're lost. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm telling you I know truth way better than the average person out here, and I'm way more genuine than the average person out here. And I think that's what's the important part about what I'm saying right here. So you have some men, like I said, who really believe in that Hitler was a good guy, the JQs and all that, and get radicalized in every way. Maybe not even with Jewish people, but with black people, with any group of people. Maybe even with women going very far into misogyny and all that stuff, Um, and then they yearn for someone to do these things for them because they don't have the courage to do it themselves, right? And a lot of men, I think that's where a lot of men just fall. It's not like they actually want to see bad things happen to anyone, or they actually think Jews are bad people, or they think Hitler was a good guy. It's just really what they're looking for is that like masculine savior, which is what I was saying in the beginning, how Trump, that's why he was put back in the presidency, not because he was voted there by the people, but he was selected there by the powers that be, because everyone was ripe for that masculine type savior and this tough guy politics. And now, because Trump is back and he represents so-called freedom, people feel like that they've won, that the people have won, that the New World Order is basically it's going away. They think the New World Order was Democrats because they can't see past politics. It's funny, they saw it coming from the left so much that they didn't see it coming from the right.